Joining us at this time is the UNC candidate for San Fernando West, Dr. Dowlath, a former educator and a man who has really made his presence known in our society by some of the best graduates you can think of. Let me welcome him. A pleasant good evening to you, sir.
Hi, evening, Mikee K. I'm very happy to be on your show.
Very happy to have you on. I can take it that it has been quite a hectic schedule. I mean, I saw you the other day, and it seemed as though you were just, around the clock. We were burning that midnight oil.
Well, it's coming down to the crunch time. It's April the 28th is very close, and you have to ensure that you cover your constituency and you meet everyone and you put everything in place, election day machinery, and so we've been working very well.
Let me ask you, the minute you got the green light to be the candidate, you were out and about, and I know you may have interacted with many, many people. What were some of the core issues that you were bombarded with?
One of the core issues, especially in San Fernando West, would be that, first of all, an absentee MP, they didn't have anybody to talk with. The under-resourcing of the San Fernando City corporations, because there was simple things like this: garbage collection, bulk waste collection, cleaning up drains and things like that. Those were the priority things. And, there was snail infestation, mosquito infestations, rat infestations and things like that. And I was surprised that the normal services of the San Fernando City Corporation were not functional.
Wow. And tell us, I mean, as far as we've got reports of poor infrastructure, inadequate water supply, all of these issues, but you're talking about a member of parliament who is the minister of local government. And one would think that, with him having that portfolio, that San Fernando West would be looked at as a priority.
I agree with you, and it's the gentleman indicated he was a resident of San Fernando, and he was aware of all the issues, and still our constituency starts from Sunset Cove and goes right up along the coastline. On the eastern end is the bypass going up that borders it up to the Guaracara River. And so it's quite diverse. There are many different areas in terms of needs of people, different socio-economic backgrounds in some of the areas. So, you'd have thought that he would have been on the ground.
Yeah, well, that's the impression that many people got, that he was able to connect with a lot of the female constituents, the young people, the most vulnerable. But coming out of what you're saying and what we're witnessing firsthand is that this is an area, of course, that has been neglected for far too long. And really and truly, when you look at it, you're now part of this equation of change. I mean, how does it strike you as to when it comes to April 29th, you're in there as the member of parliament, you're ready to kickstart and hit the ground running. What are some of the things that you would like to see take place in the first 100 days for San Fernando West?
Right, so Mikee K, one of the things I've done in the last 4 or 5 months I've been working, we've picked up street by street all of the issues and put a team together, and we have developed our own manifesto for San Fernando West. And in it, we have our commitments. And what we did is we divided San Fernando into 3 broad areas: the northern area, the central area, and the southern area. And we've looked at, all of the various needs and initiatives that we could do, because, one of the things I picked up early, there was so much unemployment for the young people. And a couple of months ago, I got sponsorship for some young people, both male and female, to enter a program where they learn to drive forklifts, and they got certification between 5 to 10 days of tuition and practice. And they didn't need any CXC subjects or anything as a prerequisite. And so we graduated about 9 of them last week, the upcoming week, about 11 of them will graduate. And these people now can go on to work in hardwares, in all the industry where you need forklift driving. And then there's the advanced, the higher training and the tower crane and all those kinds of things. And young people gravitated to it. We have now a waiting list of over 20 or 30 people who are interested. And what's interesting is that these programs existed there, but they're not open to the most of the citizens.
Yeah, and it seems to be the best kept secret.
That's right. And between 2010 and 2015, I was chairman of the Operation Council, and 2011 and 2015, I was chairman of the Gate Standing Committee, and Gate was open for all these kinds of programs, and that's one of the things now that we have to look at carefully.
Let me ask you, what does San Fernando West mean to you on a personal note? I mean, one has to ask the question because, when you look at your track record, all that you've done in the field of education, you can simply retire, stay in your comfort zone, but yet still you chose to go out there and serve the people of San Fernando West, come out and deal with all the complexities that politics may bring with it, and as well as the unhappiness as well at times. Why?
I've always had a drive for human development, especially young people. Wherever I was at the university, or when I was principal at Irie High School, or when I came to Naprima College, I spent 15 years there. I've lived in San Fernando for years. And, I've looked at it as if you could, early on in the development of young people, direct them in the right direction. As adults, they will go forth and be productive citizens. I will tell you, when I was at Naprima, I developed our play field at Louis Street with the help of many stakeholders. We had stadium lighting, we put up a stadium there, and the field is right now, it has the only turf wicket in San Fernando. Unlike Skinner Park, which you can't even play an intercol match on, Naprima College has a full field. And you have young graduates from Naprima like Nicholas Puran, who is an outstanding cricketer now. We have young people developed like Nicholas Paul. He came in to play football and he went on the cycling. We have a lot of cultural activities like we joined up with Naprima Girls and went into the secondary school panorama, and young people like Joshua Rigello and all of them came out. So I was always concerned about this holistic education of young people. So when they go out in the society, if they are not able to get a job in one area, they're so versatile, they could create their own form of employment. That whole entrepreneurial approach to life.
Yeah, so that is
that's
something.
That's my burning desire especially for the future of this country. It's in the hands of these young people, and you have to give them the right value set. The whole thing about patriotism and things like that, and the human skills, the life skills that make them, come out of their cyberspace, their phones and things like that, and contribute, make them socially responsible young people.
Yeah. Well, I want to dive into some of the points here in the manifesto. The Ministry of Education, a key leader in formulating the UNC Strategic National Development Plan. And it touches on what you just said. It is not one-dimensional. It touches on the fact of the growth and well-being of the young people. Preparation of all children to maximize education opportunities. The UNC will perform the following actions to achieve the universal screening and treatment of children between the ages of 4 to 6. Neurodevelopmental, physical well-being, mental well-being, socio-economic well-being, etc. It is expected that specialist consultants will be engaged to assist in planning, conducting initial screening and treatment, training and development of specialists. Why the ages of 4 to 6? How critical is that?
Those are the early developmental ages, and children even learn languages better at that. So your brain is very adaptable. Your first set of values you learn at that point in time. And so it's really important to pick up if there are any learning disabilities with the young people, so that they could get the appropriate type of treatment. And one of the things you want to do, Mikee, is this. You want to be able to keep young people within this same stream of education, so that the others will learn about them and have that kind of empathy and learn to that sense of collegiality with them, and accept them. When you take children and put them in special schools and isolate them, they don't come into the society and function adequately. Sometimes you make a little bubble for them on the side, and so society is judged by how it takes care of the young and the elderly, and so it's really important to pick up these issues, because one of the things we discovered is that look at the SEA results in 2019. About 19,000 students wrote that exam, the SEA, went to secondary school. By the time last year was 2024, 5 years later, only about 14,000 wrote the CSEC exams. So what happened to that about 5,000 students? And then of the 14,000, just about 7,000 got their full certificates. So what happened to these students? Was it that the system is not suitable to the development of these young people, or is it that there were certain learning disabilities that we didn't pick up and treat initially, so those students could have better adapted and go on to success, both from the primary and to the secondary?
Yeah, I think that anyone who may be trying to excel in a field and may not themselves know what the challenges that they may have internally will become frustrated, may lash out, really, because it's just not an environment for where they're learning anything. And once we can detect this at an early age, I think it definitely would help to develop the growth of this young mind, which is something that one would think that we would have already implemented in order for our children to be globally competitive. I mean, it's one thing to have the laptops, which is good, it's all good and well, but again, you're putting it in the hands of young people who were not tested or weren't screened to know exactly at what level they may be and what their learning level will be. So I find that to be very interesting. Also, preparation of parents and guardians to assist children to maximize education opportunity. Now, many times when we hear about the parent coming into the whole equation of assisting and helping to build, you would hear, of course, people say, listen, I don't have the time. I really and truly, I have to provide for the children. I have to put food on the table. I have to work. How then is this sort of a flexible approach to it?
Yes. So one of the things is that the parental training program will initially be voluntary participation. And what I've found in my experience is that when parents are involved in school activities, when you have strong PTAs and parent bodies, the school then becomes more successful, and also alumni, but especially with parents. And then parents too, they have the children at home, and sometimes they don't know how to support them. So it means, therefore, there are lots of programs in the private sector and some in the government system too. One of the plans is really to study those and look at them and see their suitability and develop standardized parental training programs designed to develop the parents in a particular way. So, sometimes parents not able to cope with the stress of SEA and
you're right, yeah.
And they don't know how to cope with it. And so it means, therefore, now these training programs will start as early with the parents from the ECC or what you call the preschool.
Right.
Early, so it's really important to support parents because, they are the first teachers.
Right. Student support, provision of tablets and laptops to facilitate digital learning, research and technological competence, procurement of learning materials such as textbooks for the enactment of the curriculum, establish literacy libraries, in every classroom to improve reading and comprehension skills. These are very good. This, of course, have the support system for these students. We didn't have that in my time. But curriculum delivery. It's the activated teacher management and development unit at the curriculum division to facilitate current and future training requirements. How important is that?
This is really important because a curriculum is built like, if you build in a building and you have scaffolding, you have to lay a proper foundation and then you go to the next level. And so the curriculum, as you go through, you call it a spiral curriculum. The foundation ideas, and you would have spoken about the student support. You would see there's a great emphasis on numeracy and literacy skills, especially literacy skills.
Yes.
The language and things like that. Normally you'll realize that even when children can't write using the proper vocabulary, they can speak using that vocabulary. You normally have a larger verbal vocabulary than a written vocabulary. And the thing about it is that when you expose these students to all of these various areas of learning, it also motivates them. And it allows them to also, get areas of interest, look at careers, even for their own development. So I think it's really important too that teachers must be trained in terms of a modern curriculum to be able to cope with students who are also digital learners. They are digital natives.
Right.
And some of us I refer to us as digital dinosaurs,
Yeah, well, it says here, to recruit outstanding retired educators in language and mathematics to continuously conduct workshops and training sessions in these key subject areas. I often wonder, why is it that we have these individuals who came through the system just there with all this wealth of knowledge and expertise, and yet still we don't utilize it, we don't take advantage of it. And it'd be good to see many of these outstanding retired educators return to assist and be part of that support system.
There was always the use of retired people, but this is a more systematic approach where it involves also the mentoring of the younger teachers. Because, some traditional methods work fine. And so together with the modern techniques, if you blend them, you would know even when you are a student, not every single method used by a teacher will cause you to learn.
That's right.
The aha, the learning. So sometimes someone will come up with a different example or a different method, and that is the one that triggers you and say, oh, aha, I fully understand. So that's why it's so important for these outstanding teachers to come back into the system as part of the mentoring and passing on the institutional knowledge. So the younger teachers don't have to reinvent the wheel. They will say, hey, we know these are the problems. The mentor teachers will explain to them the pitfalls, and these are the best practices. And so the younger teachers can now create what are called next practices.
Oh, wonderful. I'm looking also at the technical vocational education, whereas they establish a full-fledged technical university to provide the highest level of technical vocational training, including a technical vocational teacher training division, independently or in a private-public partnership. That in itself is wonderful, and of course integrate the tech vocation schools into the secondary school system, and students can graduate with a combination of O levels and CVQs at the comparative level. That indeed, that is thinking outside the box, I must say.
Yes, definitely. So, Mikee, you remember I gave you the statistics basically about in the SCA, 1 in 3 students reach up to the academic level.
Right.
Happens to the other 2 out of 3,000 of students. And so this will allow them, as they come out of the primary, go into secondary, to find those areas of interest, the skills-based interests, whether it's carpentry, whether it's plumbing, electrical, auto, diesel. There are new areas like gaming, animation and game design.
Oh, yeah.
designing games. And you know, one of the things in education is that you try to find the most interesting way to motivate students to learn. Think about something that you may have loved learning in school, you know, a particular subject, and what created that motivation. And so when you expose them early on, you'll see that by Form 3, students will spend 2 or 3 days in their technical vocational labs working on their areas of interest. So you're allowing them earlier now to get exposed to these, and the qualification is called a CVQ, a Caribbean Vocational Qualification. So the fundamentals is you get your math and language qualification, the academics in the CXV, the traditional, because those are the foundation areas. And then you could get your CVQs and you get a full certificate, and then you get these skills. By the time you reach Form 5, you have acquired employability skills, and you work, which is fantastic.
Very, very good. I must say, like, really, again, thinking outside the box. And I've got to say that, you know, really and truly, that's all it really takes, having that vision and being driven to say, listen, we are going to make a difference with these programs and policies, rather than just simply trying to recycle, or should I say just going along with the same old conventional methods that has shown that it has not been quite successful for our young people. I mean, it really hurt me when I heard Dr. Rowley say that in the heights of the pandemic, 2,000 fell through the crack. I mean, what crack? You know, as if it was, you know, just a liability being written off of some account. I mean, we're talking about humans, we're talking about young people, and they didn't start off with the feeling that they can just give up. I'm sure at some point in time they were enthusiastic, they were full of energy, but, you know, due to the fact that there was no support there, that they simply just couldn't keep going.
You're perfectly right there. So the system itself has to change into becoming more student-centered. The school fits the needs of the child. In traditional schools, sometimes you have students who, you have science stream, you have modern studies, you have business and things like that. They were put in categories. But you have to realize that students have different intelligences. And therefore now they will want to do a mix. I have had students who have done like Spanish at A level and chemistry and biology, or technical drawing and sociology and things like that. And when you give children what they love to do, they are highly motivated. So when we try to put them into square pegs or round holes, you know, pre-existing, so the school itself has to become more malleable and ductile, more flexible to the needs of the children. And so the curriculum itself that you spoke about earlier has to be more student-centered. And there has to be a lot of training for teachers and administrators to be able to make those timetables, make those subject offerings more flexible for the students.
All right. Any closing comments? Go right ahead.
Yes, I want to say that as we go forward, you have to think about the future. Jobs are changing. The impact of artificial intelligence on learning. Soon, you may not need those hard copy textbooks and things that you have, mainly e-textbooks. And sometimes even when you have e-textbooks, they're outdated very quickly. So that what we have to teach children is really how to navigate the internet, and also to expose them to age-appropriate development. Because sometimes students are exposed to things that they can't deal with psychologically and mentally. And that's why you have, I think, I hear that mental stability, that whole issue is really, mental well-being is really important. Because when you have someone who is mentally stable, then you have someone who is prepared to learn.
All right. Thank you all. Best of luck to you and your entire team. Victory is a must come April 28th. And on April 29th, it would be, I'm sure, everyone's delight to see you, of course, step in as the Member of Parliament for San Fernando West.
Thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much indeed.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Same to you.